Latin America has always been very popular when it comes to second residencies. I think that mostly because it's pretty close to the US, to Canada. So I think that's the main reason on why it's been, his immigration has been blowing in the past couple of years. Hey everyone, it's Irena here from Nomad Capitalist. I've been helping our clients over the past couple of years to execute their plan and to help them move offshore and to go where they're treated best. Now, today we're going to discuss some of the easy residencies in Latin America. Again, I think that that's been a very good market when it comes to immigration-wise, of course, because it's very close, because there are a couple of citizenship options that you can get in the long run, and as well because of its culture. So I think that Latin America is mostly very interested to people because, number one, because it's really very specific kind of culture and history. And number two, I think because of the affordable, because it's not that expensive, let's say, compared to the US and compared to Canada and so on. And for, its variety, really. There are a lot of expat communities around Latin America. There are a lot of expats who are going there, a lot of people who are retiring there from the US, whether that's in Mexico or in Argentina or anything like that. It's been quite popular. So there are a couple of residency programs that you can get in Latin America, and I will mention a couple of them and a couple of my favorites. And I think that, we've been mentioning this for a while, but, let me just explain firstly what residency is. So residency is basically a legal right that you get to, spend time in some country. Now, the amount of time and everything else is kind of depending from the country to country. And, if you want to have citizenship in the long run, that comes with additional requirements. Same stands for permanent residency in case that you firstly get temporary one and so on. You can get it by a lot of ways, and we'll go over some of them, and perhaps you will see the difference, and I'll try to explain to you what's the difference between those. Okay, let's start with number one. That's personally my favorite. It's generally very popular because it's very easy to get, and that's Mexico. We've been talking about Mexico for a while now, but the reason why Mexico is so easy is because you are, that's one of the type of residencies that I wanted to mention, is because you can get those by proof of source of funds. So basically what you need to do is no investment is required or anything. You just need to prove that you have enough funds to sustain yourself while living in Mexico. And that's why, again, it's super popular. The process starts at the embassy where you are actually showing your bank statements and so on, that you have enough money in your bank account. Then later you should go to Mexico to pick up your ID card, and that's pretty much it, I would say. When it comes to the amount, that really depends from the embassy to embassy. But before I go into that, there are two ways on how you can get it. So with the first one, you get the temporary residency. With the second one, you get the permanent one. With the first one, you can get it, everyone can get it. With the second one, only retired people can actually get this permanent residency immediately. So the requirement is usually pretty much the same. Again, you need to show that you have enough money in your bank account. The amount depends from the embassy to embassy where you're applying, and that's why I think that it's better to consult with a professional like Nomad Capitalist, and we can help you, not choose the embassy because you'd have to do it in your place of residency, but we'd help you with the application process and collecting all of the documents. Between the first category, in the temporary residence aspect, you have two options. Number one is to show that you have a savings account and that you have enough money on that savings account. Usually some amount is around $44,000, and you need to show that's been consistent in the past 12 months. Another way is to show that you're receiving a monthly stable income of at least, again, the amount depends, but it's usually around $2,600-700 or so. And if you have a dependent, then that number goes up. With the permanent residency, however, and if you're retired, you can immediately apply for permanent residency. How you can do that? You can do that by, again, showing that you have a stable income that comes from the retirement. And that number should be around approximately $3,800 or so. Again, it depends from the embassy, but that's the usual number. Even if you get the temporary residency first, you can get, of course, permanent residency in time, and of course, it can lead to citizenship as well. So citizenship is possible after a period of 5 years of permanent residency or temporary residency, and there is no specific physical presence requirement needed in the first 3 years. However, in the 4th and 5th year, you would need to spend 18 months in Mexico. So that would essentially qualify you for being a tax resident of Mexico. So Mexico doesn't have a very good taxation system. It's still better than the US, for example, or Canada, but it's still, the tax rates are obviously progressive. But there is a possibility for you to, once you become a tax resident, once you get your citizenship, you can simply, do a tax non-residency process, and you will no longer pay taxes to Mexico. Again, for this, we would strongly advise to have a professional by your side, and one of the professionals that you can get in touch to is Nomad Capitalist, and we can help you to go through that process. The second country that we've been as well talking a lot about is Panama. Panama has become more and more popular because of various reasons, but one of them is taxation. Panama has a territorial taxation system, so meaning that anything that is made outside of Panama or that is not remitted to Panama will not be taxed for you, if you're a tax resident of Panama, of course. Now, residency and tax residency are two different terms. However, and the point with how you can get residency in Panama is through Friendly Nations visa, for example. So Friendly Nations visa has a list of qualifying countries, but most of the countries that that are out there are qualified, like for example EU, US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, those kind of countries are in most of the cases qualified for this program. How you can get Panamanian Friendly Nations visa? There are 3 ways. Number 1 is to incorporate a company. Number 2 is to purchase real estate worth of $200,000, and number 3 is to put a deposit in a bank of $300,000 as well. If you're not really interested in developing business in Panama, and you have to keep in mind, again, additional costs and so on, I think that probably real estate is one of the most famous ones. The reason for that is because really, you can rent it out, you can receive passive income and so on. So I think that's the most popular one out there. When it comes to the process generally, it's split into 2 categories, the temporary residence and then the permanent residency. And in all takes 3 years. Now, when it comes to citizenship, the reason as well why Panama is so popular is because you can get Panamanian citizenship after 5 years, which is a very short period of time, but that is per law. In practice, that takes a bit longer. I would say that there are people who are waiting for approximately 10 years or so to receive Panamanian citizenship, and there are some requirements that you need to as well keep in mind if citizenship is your goal. Now, Nicaragua is one of the countries that have a very interesting residency program. It's not that popular, but it's one of the cheapest one out there. You can get residency in Nicaragua in 3 ways. Number 1 is to invest in real estate, and the amount is $30,000. Number 2 is to incorporate a business of $30,000. Or invest $30,000 in, for example, agricultural project or similar. Once you do this, you would receive an investor permanent residence visa that is valid for 5 years. So when it comes to maintenance of the visa, there is no specific physical presence requirement on how long you need to spend there. However, if you spend 180 days in Nicaragua in a period of 2 years, you may be eligible to apply for citizenship. What is important is that during that time, your investment that you did in the first place is still there. So you cannot really sell, for example, the real estate at the point where you want to apply for citizenship. Nicaragua allows dual citizenship, so that, even though Nicaragua is not a very, very strong passport, it may be beneficial to have it, again, because the naturalization time is not that long. Of course, that would make you, because you need to spend some time there, if you want to apply for citizenship, that would make you a tax resident. However, Nicaragua has quite good of a taxation system. They're taxing their residents and non-residents only on the income that is originated from in Nicaragua. So that's, I guess, a benefit for Nicaragua. Peru also has a very interesting residency program, and I will say that it's not that popular. And I honestly told I'm not sure why, because it's a very good option for the investors, and if you're looking for a second residency, it's a plan B. Peru has 2 options if you want to apply. First one is rentista, and another one is as an investor. If we're looking at the rentista option, that is the option where it's similar to Mexico. So you need to show them proof that you have enough money to sustain yourself while living in Peru. So the amount that you need to show is approximately $1,000 on your bank statements on a monthly basis. That's not a lot, really, and I think that, everyone can pretty much show that. When it comes to investor's visa, you would need to invest approximately $150,000 and incorporate a company and hire at least 5 locals in the next period of 2 years. You also have to provide them with a business plan and other things so that, you would make sure that your application is approved. And when it comes to rentista option, and when it comes to rentista option, the residency that you get is indefinite. So meaning that as long as you can provide for that you have enough money, that you have enough income to sustain yourself there, it's indefinite. When it comes to citizenship, as long as you spend more than 183 days in Peru in the previous of 2 years, you can apply for citizenship. You would obviously need to prove that you have the initial investment, that you have ties to Peru, that you have house there, or some ties to Peru, and of course your application may be approved. Again, in practice, that's a bit longer than 2 years, but still 2 years is kind of a record period for receiving your passport through this route. The next country that we will mention is Ecuador, and I will just quickly go through it because I will tell you a reason later. But Ecuador works the similar way as, for example, again, Mexico. So you would need to show that you have enough money in your bank account to sustain yourself while living there. There are 2 options. Number 1 is rentista, when you have to show that you are receiving a monthly stable income, and the amount is usually around $1,350. And another one is for retired persons. And as a retired person, you would need to show as well that you're receiving a monthly retirement income of at least, again, $1,350. Now, after 3 years of temporary residency, you can receive the permanent one. And after 4 years of all-in-all residency, you can receive citizenship. Now, the reason why I mentioned that it's a bit tricky is because Ecuador really asks you to spend time there, and the amount of time that they ask you to spend there is 275 days a year. So that's really a lot, and the most of the year you would really spend in Ecuador. So that's why it may not be the best option, because as well, Ecuadorian passport is not the best one out there. And the final country that we'll mention today is Argentina. Now, if you didn't check out the video about Argentina and the new president on our main channel, go check it out, because this can really change a lot. So when it comes to Argentina, the taxes part of it, it offers a greater possibility for quick naturalization and residency process. However, the tax-wise, Argentina is not the most beneficial one. So this may be a subject to change, with the newly selected president. When it comes to Argentina, there is, again, 2 ways. Number 1 is rentista, where you will need to show that you have 3 times average Argentinian salary, which is approximately $350. So that's not really a lot. And again, for each dependent, the amount goes up. And another one is the retirement one, similar to Ecuador, but you would need to show again that you're having a monthly stable income coming from your retirement. Now, what is interesting about Argentina is that residency and citizenship are governed by the separate legislation. So basically, legislation law. So funny enough, for the permanent residency, you can get it after a period of 3 years, while citizenship you can get after a period of 2 years. So you can quickly receive citizenship then the residency. Funny enough, when it comes to physical presence, it is not really regulated, and there is no specific law that says that. However, a lot of experts, including Nomad Capitalist, we do recommend for you to spend at least 183 days a year, and like that for 2 years in order to apply for citizenship, because Argentina really wants to see that that is your home, and that's why you want to become a citizen of that country. And that was it. There are obviously some other options between Latin and Central America where you can get your second residency. However, these are personally my favorite, especially because most of them that we mentioned now do not require any investment, but they only require you to show the source of funds that you have in your bank account. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos, as we post every other day, and you can get the latest news in the immigration, offshore, taxes, companies, and other things world. Thanks for watching.